there was a sense in the Biden years that America had just lost control of its border. 10 million illegal immigrants had come over. That's twice the population of Scotland, for example, and very few of them were ever sent back. Even if they were caught and illegal, there was this catch and release. And he's determined to make a difference there by making it a national emergency. He can spend unlimited amounts of money on the border and he can deploy the military. That's very important. Then, by declaring a health emergency, he can, for a time, effectively close the border. And I think he wants to be seen that he's got a grip of this. And interestingly, given that it's mainly Hispanics coming across that border, he has huge support for this in the Hispanic community. It's one of the reasons why he got 46% of the Hispanic vote overall and 55% of male Hispanic votes, because these, by and large, are people who came legally. They did it the right way. They're rearing their families. They're trying to make the best of it. They're in low-paid jobs. And they're the ones that were suffering most from this huge influx of illegal migrants.
We didn't see any of that Trump energy and enthusiasm. Why was that, do you think?
Well, it was quite a serious address, though it wasn't as bleak as the address he made 8 years ago when he talked about American carnage. If you remember, he was very down. Indeed, he began this one by saying that America faced a new golden age, that the new golden age would begin. And it's interesting that he says that, because I don't think any other European leader, Mr. Stammer or President Macron or Chancellor Scholz in Germany, who's probably about to lose his election, no European leader could credibly say that about their country. And there's still an optimism here, for all its problems, that America's best years are still ahead of it. Whereas the European elites, by and large, are now concentrating on managing decline. From Britain to France to Germany, the three biggest economies, the three most important military powers. So for all, there was a kind of, I thought, unnecessary doing down of the Biden legacy. That's for the campaign. That's not for an inauguration speech. There were times when it turned into a stump speech, when he went through his greatest hits of his campaign of 2024. But even so, underneath that, I think he's anxious to get on with it. That's why he's looking forward to this. It's almost like going to the Roman Forum, where he'll sign, instead of killing Christians, he'll sign all these
executive orders.
And I think he's anxious to get on with it. I mean, in an article I've written tomorrow, I've actually described him as an old man in a hurry.
Yes, well, he seems to be, doesn't he? 100. I was speaking to a guest earlier who said he only seems to remember him signing one back in 2017.
Last time, in 2017, he only signed one on day one. He's expected to do 200, if not all of them today, certainly by the end of the week. Now, I think it's important that people realize that executive orders are a way of implementing policy without having to worry about Congress. So the scope of them is limited. There are areas where you need Congress. However, that doesn't make them all plain sailing. Many of them will be challenged in the courts, as they often are. So just signing an executive order doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but it's an indication of the direction that Mr. Trump wants to take the country.
What is his biggest policy area here? Is it on the border and
Yes.
immigration, declaring a national emergency so that his power and his budget is increased?
The border. He's now saying, and actually I think he's right, he's saying that the border was more important than the economy in winning him the election. There was a sense in the Biden years that America had just lost control of its border. 10 million illegal immigrants had come over. That's twice the population of Scotland, for example, and very few of them were ever sent back. Even if they were caught and illegal, there was this catch and release. And he's determined to make a difference there by making it a national emergency. He can spend unlimited amounts of money on the border and he can deploy the military. That's very important. Then, by declaring a health emergency, he can, for a time, effectively close the border. And I think he wants to be seen that he's got a grip of this. And interestingly, given that it's mainly Hispanics coming across that border, he has huge support for this in the Hispanic community. It's one of the reasons why he got 46% of the Hispanic vote overall and 55% of male Hispanic votes, because these, by and large, are people who came legally. They did it the right way. They're rearing their families. They're trying to make the best of it. They're in low-paid jobs, and they're the ones that were suffering most from this huge influx of illegal migrants. They're the reason they voted for him in bigger numbers than ever Hispanics have. They're the reason why a majority of Hispanics vote for him in Florida and increasingly now in Texas. So he wants to be seen to have done something about this.
Look, for those who don't support Donald Trump, and we need to reflect them as well as celebrate what Donald Trump's about and how more people than ever are aligned with him. The Republican voter, the spec and the scope of a Republican voter has changed and has enlarged and broadened so much. In your show today, you talked about his first term. You said it was described as a fluke, a scam, an aberration. Washington consoled itself with the thought that it was only temporary, that normal service would be resumed after 4 nasty years. Biden's victory over Trump in 2020 seemed to confirm that analysis. And yet here we are in 2025 with Donald Trump about to assume a second term, starting his second term as president.
Well,
I wonder what you make of it.
He arrives this time in much better shape than he did last time. You said about celebrating what things Trump are doing. I wouldn't wish to do that. I'm merely trying to explain what he's doing. I'll let his own supporters celebrate them. That's not my job. My job is to analyze and try and explain what's going on. He arrives in much better shape. His victory is not in doubt. He is the undisputed winner of the election of 2024. And remember, there was a lot of frantic talk, including in the British press, that America may be on the brink of a civil war. In fact, there was a movie made about America having another civil war. All that's nonsense now. It's all gone by the board. He's master of all he surveys. He's far better prepared than he was in 2016. He didn't even think he was going to win in 2016. And so he wasn't prepared. He didn't have a team picked. He didn't have policies. That's all different. He hits the ground running this time. And the other thing that will help him, though only in the short term, because things will change, is that the resistance, the opposition, is in total disarray. The Democrats are in denial about what happened. The head of the Kamala Harris campaign at a Harvard seminar last week described the Harris campaign as, quote, flawless. I think that's in denial. The anti-Trump media, which is most of the media in America, is in disarray and in serious decline. People have stopped watching it. Now, that will change. As Trump makes mistakes, does controversial things, the resistance will build up again.
Yeah.
But for a while, he has a clean shot.
Yeah. So for the average Democrat supporter, they are retreating. They are ears closed, eyes closed, can't believe this is happening. But you think that there will be an awakening, albeit we don't know who under. We're not going to see much from Kamala Harris, Joe Biden too. We don't know what the future of the Democrat Party looks like, and there'll need to be someone inspiring, presumably, to give Democrats faith that once again they can, take office after Donald Trump. As it is, we know that he can't stand for a third term. Whether he does something about changing that, we don't know. But at the moment, there is not much hopeful out there for Democrat supporters.
No, it's a pretty miserable time for the Democrats at the moment. And one of the problems with the American system is, if you're in opposition, is that there is no leader of the opposition. They don't pick a successor to Joe Biden, who was the leader of the Democrats. It certainly isn't Kamala Harris. They have a leader in the Senate. They'll have a leader in the House. But they don't have a leader as we would see a leader of the opposition. However, they get a quicker shot at a comeback than they would in the British system, because the midterms are in 2026. And it's every chance that the Democrats will do quite well. The Republican majority in the House is very slim. It's only 3 or 4 votes. It's about 6 in the Senate, which is bigger, but is not huge. And you could see the Democrats, if it went their way, taking back the House as part of a long march to recoup their situation. But what they have to do, I think that there are longer trends at work here than just who's up, who's down, who's in opposition, who isn't. Under their very noses, and something the media in America almost entirely missed, and the Democrats certainly missed it, Trump has built, I don't know whether intentionally or by accident, but Trump has built a new multi-ethnic Republican coalition, which gave him his majority for the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. And it's made up of working class whites, aspiring Hispanics, and black males. And you add them all together, and that's why he won. And if he builds on that, and if the living standards of these people rise in the next 4 years, then that could become the new governing majority in America. And it creates a problem because you will know that Hispanics have traditionally voted Democrat.
Yeah.
Blacks overwhelmingly,
Yeah.
90% usually, have voted Democrat. Now, if the Republicans have got a chunk of these two demographics, where does that leave them? Where do they go? That's the strategic difficulty the Democrats currently face.
Andrew, it's been so fascinating speaking to you. I hope you've been eating some good snacks all day, keeping up the sustenance. You've done some, I'm sure, some serious TV watching today.
I have indeed. It's been enjoyable, and all the more enjoyable to talk to you. Thank you for having
Thank
me on.
you. We look forward to hearing you tomorrow at 1 on Times Radio, the ever-brilliant Andrew Neil. Thank you very much for being with us. Let's actually dip in, shall we? This is the Capital One Arena, and the Field Army Band are playing at the moment, awaiting the arrival of the new US President, Donald Trump.